What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we've got a fairly quick video. I just wanted to keep you guys updated on the new fastest movement speed setup in Black Ops 6 after the Season 4 Reloaded update. And it turns out this setup that I'll be sharing not only has the fastest sprint speed in the game for a gun, not a melee weapon, it also has the fastest aim walking speed potential in this game. Now prior to this was the fastest setup right here using the SOG, and the key attachments for this as it relates to movement speed are going to be the Ranger foregrip to help with our sprint speeds, as well as the Infiltrator stock to help with our aim walking speed. And you can see with this, our standard sprint speed is 7.2 meters per second, and that was previously as fast as you could get. But now this setup has been dethroned as the fastest in the game by the PPSH-41, which recently saw some buffs. And the setup I'll be sharing today is the Suppressor, Long Barrel, Ranger foregrip, which is of course the key for sprint speed, the Infiltrator stock, which is the key for our aim walking speed, and then finally I top this off with recoil springs. And with this, you can now see our standard sprint speed is 7.3 meters per second, so a little bit faster than that previous fastest setup. Also, our tactical sprint speed is 8.55 meters per second based on my hand testing, which is again, just a little bit faster than that previous build. And then we see that same trend with our aim walking speed. This is 4.5 meters per second, which is now the fastest aim walking speed we have in this game. Now, not only that, I did also want to share with Slipstream, because I use Slipstream on literally every one of my classes, and Slipstream boosts every one of our movement speed values across the board. However, of course, it does eliminate our ability to use tactical sprint. But with Slipstream, our standard sprint speed is 8 meters per second, which is amazing considering we're just dealing with standard sprint out times now, which in this case is 125 milliseconds. That's a very fast sprint out time, and we'll literally never see that 210 millisecond sprint out time that you would otherwise see with tactical sprint. And then since this does apply across the board, this also makes our aim walking speed with this setup when using Slipstream 4.75 meters per second. So you can strafe in gunfights incredibly quickly. You can just aim walk around the map and get around faster than some guns can walk around the map without aiming down sight. This is actually faster than a few of the assault rifles' standard walking speed, which is pretty crazy. So movement speed wise, this is an incredible setup and the best you're gonna get. And on top of that, it's also got pretty decent recoil control because the Ranger foregrip not only helps with sprint speeds, it also helps a bit with horizontal recoil, which the PPSH could really use since it has an S-shaped recoil pattern. And we're also using recoil springs, which helps a bit there as well. So recoil's not bad, very manageable with this. However, the big downside with this setup compared to the previous fastest setup is the stock attachments and the rear grip attachments, or traditionally what would be the rear grip attachments. They're in the same category for the PPSH-41. So by using the Infiltrator stock, this prevents us from using either the ergonomic or combat stock, which on most guns would be the ergonomic rear grip or the CQB rear grip, which both help with our slide to fire and dive to fire times. So since we can't use that, we are going to be limited in those areas, and this setup isn't very good if you're sliding into gunfights, which you'll often be doing in this game. And that's actually a fairly big thing that holds this back compared to the previous fastest build, that SOG build. And it's actually one of the reasons that, well, this is the new fastest build. And if you absolutely want to maximize movement speeds, at the end of the day, I actually prefer that SOG build over this if I'm trying to be as competitive as possible while also being insanely fast and getting around the map very quickly. Because circling back to that build, we get a significantly better slide to fire and dive to fire time since we can use the ergonomic grip. Also, that means our aim down sight time is very fast at 165 milliseconds. Not that it's slow with the PPSH, but it's noticeably faster with this build. And our sprint out time is also a little bit faster by default with this gun compared to the PPSH. We also get a larger magazine capacity with this build. And I consider the recoil to be a bit more controllable on this, since that crazy horizontal recoil doesn't kick in until like half of your mag is already gone. Now, I guess one other factor to consider when comparing these two builds is the SOG build does kill a little bit slower at 264 milliseconds rather than 252 milliseconds with the PPSH. But both of those time to kill values are still plenty fast, and I'd rather make sure that I'm getting my gun up and firing faster with the SOG build and sacrificing that little bit of time to kill potential. That's just my opinion on the situation. I did want to make sure you guys were at least updated and now know that there is a faster setup than the previous fastest. But in my opinion, the new build isn't quite as versatile overall as the previous build, even though it's technically a little bit faster. I'm not saying it's a horrible build though, it's just if you put it side by side with the SOG build, it's just not quite as good overall in my opinion. In either case, those are just my opinions though, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. First off, how do you guys feel about the fact that they have now dethroned the SOG as the fastest possible movement speed gun in the game? And second, do you agree with me? Do you think the SOG build is just a better build compared to the new PPSH one? Or are you going to be using that new PPSH build to get around the map as fast as possible with a gun in your hand at least? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.